All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the semifinals of intermediate playoffs. I'm your caster Kimbo, joined by my co-caster, the Platinum Bow.
Hello, yeah, this is
That
actually going
rhymed.
to be, this is going to be a really interesting game. Seeing how Powerhouse did an incredibly close game with DC, completely cleaning on the last point on Nepal, while Shanghai struggled a little bit with CDC. Is that an indicator of them falling down, or is that just an indicator of CDC showing up when it mattered? Well, somewhat.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, CDC, they definitely were kind of proving themselves, but it was obvious that Shanghai was, the dominant team there. Both of these teams, whenever you think of good intermediate teams, these are two that you kind of come to mind. So I feel like this has a chance
Shanghai,
of being a
yeah.
close match. The game that happened just before this, the Vitalize versus Yoink game, was a pretty good introduction to tonight. So I feel like a show might be put on here. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, of course. Shanghai's been showing their dominance throughout Interdiv B throughout the season. However, Powerhouse has been the one streaky team throughout the entire season, only beating Shanghai consistently at, for any of their
Yeah,
opponents.
it's pretty funny to think about that because like Powerhouse is so inconsistent, but they peak against what is seen as the best team
They
in
just have an
intermediate.
undying rage against Shanghai for no reason.
Yeah, or maybe it was just their play style just fits perfectly with it. I mean, there's a pretty big change in the roster from Powerhouse since the last time that they went against them. I'm pretty sure, and that is that Kef's gone, and they have Aspect in on DPS, which is not debatably a big downgrade.
It's
So
definitely a big
it's
downgrade.
yeah. So that's
I mean,
it's gonna be interesting to see how he pulls that out there. Grape is also not gonna be here. Typically he's in on like control maps to play the
and
ball because he's
yep,
a little bit of a ball one trick, but it's okay.
he's
So
been
I guess
showing
that's
that
just
he's
less old
okay.
charge going to Shanghai, maybe.
He's been showing that he's very proficient with the ball, but along with that, 5 out of the 6 players on this Powerhouse starting roster right now have been kept since draft. Dad, One Punch Man, Pew Pew, Gavan, and Oo have definitely had time to synergize, and that'll show tonight. Meanwhile, on the other side, Shanghai Sellouts have a lot of players from their draft, being Tyler, Madam, Snipes, Muhammad, and adding Lilithy early on and Vantage when he left CDC.
Yeah, I mean both of these teams have really been keeping a similar roster throughout most of the season. So I mean, that synergy has always been a factor, and first map picks Ilios, so we're waiting upon the R's from both teams and all that kind of stuff
They
as we
haven't
sit
had
here thinking of filler.
Both of these teams haven't had much reason to switch their rosters, to be honest. Besides the downgraded hit scan, Powerhouse has been looking like a pretty streaky but very strong team when they're on fire. And Shanghai Sellouts has been consistent and strong and hard hitting to other teams.
Yeah, I mean throughout the whole season they've just been fairly dominant, even in Division B, which is seen as a better division, but we all know the arguments against that. So
Yep.
I mean it's kind of all over the place. But both these teams are incredible as we get into the match right now, so it's gonna be really fun to see them clashing up against each other as I'm not loaded in yet. What is the first
Starting in
zone?
on well, this might be more of a
Oh.
double shield or dive map. You're definitely gonna see a dive coming out from Powerhouse, as they're known to be really good with their dives. Especially
Yeah,
seeing
but
against DC last week, and then Shanghai is probably gonna be rolling out with a double shield, depending on Tyler and Madam with Earth Sig.
yeah, I mean, but that dive, that signature dive that Powerhouse has pulled out was with Grape on that ball. So now they're gonna have Gavant on the Diva. I don't know how his ball is. I haven't seen it, but I think that's probably the better pick. Gavant is obviously an off-tank player, so he's gonna be more proficient on that Diva.
Of course.
But I mean, standard meta from Shanghai instead of that dive
Incredibly
comp, which
quick
is
pause needed
interesting.
from Dad.
Okay, of course, probably Pew Pew's internet.
Very interesting comp coming out from Shanghai over here. We all know that the meta is incredibly hard to run, especially on this well map. With the amount of displacement abilities given by other comps with double shield dive, it's really hard to run that meta comp into here. But Shanghai is going to be doing just that and running it straight into the dive of Powerhouse.
Yeah, typically this is what Powerhouse has to run that dive into, so it's I mean, it's basically kind of ripe for the picking for Powerhouse as long as Gavant can fill in those shoes of Grape. I mean, obviously, but I mean, he can kind of value. So I feel like Powerhouse has this kind of experience that might really help them out here. But I mean, Shanghai is arguably just insane on the meta. So
I mean, you definitely didn't see that with the meta mirror against CDC last week. CDC definitely showed more proficiency on the meta, where Whereas Shanghai kind of struggled where they couldn't really do much against it.
Yeah, that's very true. But I mean, throughout the regular season at least, they definitely just looked like the better team.
Yeah, of
I
course.
don't really know yet. We don't know how this game's gonna go. Honestly, it's gonna be a very close match, hopefully. And knowing my caster's curse, maybe a map 5. We'll have to see as we see both teams walking out here, rotating on opposite sides of the point right now. Powerhouse opting to go through the windmill area. And some kind of engagement will hopefully happen soon. Both teams just kind of standing still at a stalemate. As we see Dad going in on the Reaper, having to use his Wraith form as he gets walled off, and here comes the engagement. The aggression from Powerhouse as still no kills yet. Gavant finally gets C-Maxed. Owo falling very low, already 84 to that Primal though. Maybe he can farm one up already. But Madam advantage, getting both tanks down immediately. So it looks like an advantage right now for Shanghai. As I say that though, Madam does get D-Mech. So there's still a chance for Powerhouse to maybe restabilize here. But once again, as I say that, Dad is taken out by that boop from Muhammad. It looks like Shanghai's going to get first control here as they're just about to capture it. A little bit more stalling left. Madam dies, but it doesn't matter too much.
That wall was incredibly by Vantage. With that wall, that forced Dad and Wraith form and forced Powerhouse to engage where they didn't feel comfortable jumping in on that small area with Shanghai all clumped up together with the McCree and Mei. And looking at this, that allowed Shanghai to build up almost all 6 of their ults, while Powerhouse is uncomfortably sitting like halfway to a bunch of them.
Yeah, I mean, Owo farmed up that Primal Rage incredibly quickly with that early engage. The Shatter, though, instantly coming up from Tyler, as well as behind Noon. No kills come out, but both Coalescences come out, I believe. Yeah, both Coalescences come out. And still no kills yet. It's just kind of a consistent fight going on as we see Muhammad using the beat. One Punch Man tries to use his own, but unfortunately gets cancelled. Aspects though, getting 2 with the Pulse Bomb. The Blizzard comes up from Vanish to try to salvage this fight, and it might be working. 2 kills from the side of Shanghai as well. And we see Gavant getting Vantage. It's an even fight on both sides. It's very hard to see who's gonna win this though. It's still even. This is hard. We see Gavant using the bomb here, gets the DMAC onto Madam. But I mean, the respawns are coming back, so I mean, there's still a chance for both teams to win this. Dad gets the punch pick onto Snipes. Dad going rampant in the backline as well as getting the kill onto Lilithy. Tyler gets Aspects, but he gets taken out as well by Gavant in that process. And I mean, with the respawns coming back, it's still really hard to see who's winning this, but it looks like Powerhouse is finally going to take control.
These Shatter fights are good for neither team. Like, this is just going to allow for teams to come back. That allowed Shanghai to get 82%. If you didn't notice, Tyler got a 4-man Shatter, delaying Powerhouse's retake so long. With Shanghai switching to more of a dive comp here, as Tyler's walking back to spawn as fast as possible can. Advantage on the Echo. We've seen a lot of proficiency from him since the character first release.
Yeah, I do like the switches that are made, and I mean 82% to the point is really good. That fight took a long time. The seed engagement coming back in, but in the backline, Dad gets the pick onto Muhammad. And now that Tyler's down, they might just want to really quickly disengage here. My internet's spiking. That's fun.
Okay.
But yeah, Madam takes the jump off of the point. About 40% coming in for Powerhouse, but I mean, they still have to be basically perfect for the rest of this round if they want to.
Powerhouse taking more of the clump position that Shanghai was able to take earlier on with the ults. Like, with that brawl, Shanghai was able to hold for so long, and now Powerhouse is doing the exact same thing with their dive, with Dan and Aspect flying around, and OO and Vent being on the front line.
A lot of ultimates coming out at the very start of this fight. Both Coalescences, both beats. 2 different DPS ults, and it looks like Shanghai is going to get more value out of it as Madam gets the bomb kill on the One Punch Man. Advantage getting the pick on the Dad as well. Pulse Bomb comes out from Aspect, as well as the Diva Bomb from Gavant, but no kills come out of either of them. Owo goes off the map. And we see a most likely one fight for Shanghai. Gavant is not going to get a 6k on Baby Diva, I think. Yeah, he gets taken out. Just One Punch Man really left. It doesn't look like gonna get too much out of it. The duplicate comes out actually from Vantage. 2 tracers on the field for Shanghai, and it's just Owo left on point. Pew coming back as well to try to keep him up as long as he can. but that's not going to be too long. If they can maybe back up, they can definitely get a recontest, but not really a full fight as possible.
Those small pick ults from Shanghai were allowing them to take control of the point and now forcing Powerhouse onto stall picks. OO on the ball, and they're going to do anything they can to touch. It's going to be a very scattered fight from Powerhouse, and just judging by how Shanghai is building up their support ults and having their tank ults ready, and the fight's already commenced. Snipes gets one punch man.
These early picks for really both teams have won them the fights just every single time. And it's going to be hard to push in with this now that both TP, One Punch Man, and OO are gone. Dad does get the punch on the Muhammad, but he gets taken out by Lilithy with the Coalescence, which gets two. Gavant is already D-Mac trying his best. That's the point. One Punch Man is the next up. OO gets a nice slam. He's going to be able to last a little bit, but it's not enough for the next person to contest. And first round goes to Shanghai, but fairly close. I mean, both teams looked pretty well there.
Yeah, it really seemed like it was based on who got the first pick. Both teams started to collapse when their first player went down. Like, whether it be a support, DPS, or tank, both teams started to get collapsed on by the enemy team as soon as their first pick went down. Powerhouse and Shanghai are both great at punishing those first pick and be able to take those 65s, but it's just a matter of who gets that first pick first. They were both dedicating a lot of ults to each fight because they were just building them like no problems ever there.
Yeah, it's the fights, the styles of both Powerhouse and Shanghai have always been, kind of interesting, like you said, and really relying on the DPS to get those picks early so that you can finally engage. So, I mean, seeing the two styles clashing, you don't really see it too much, and it's really cool to see. It's so back and forth.
Yeah, Shanghai sticking to their guns with their strong meta, while Powerhouse switching to more of a Reaper Doom Zarya comp.
Yeah, I like the pick. I mean, Gavant's had a pretty decent Zarya overall. If we see the engagement coming in, stuns from both sides. Tyler and Vantage taken out pretty quickly. This is a very quickly lost fight for Shanghai, so I mean, not much progress on the points can be gained or anything, but by the time they regroup, so it's nothing terrible. OWO already almost has his which is huge.
And now we see Shanghai
to the Far Mercy.
They're trying to abuse the fact that Powerhouse doesn't have a dedicated hit scan, but knowing how Powerhouse plays, they're going to be able to take that 4v6 and roll over the rest of the team just by playing around natural cover. It's just all going to come down to this fight.
There's always that talk, counter a Far Mercy just by winning the frontline battle. Powerhouse actually does it properly, unlike most teams are able to. A nice shatter from OWO. Only really takes on Snipes, it looks like a kill might come out of it. OWO pins Tyler by accident, as well as Gavant getting Snipes, but Vantage is getting picks for Shanghai as well. So, I mean, it's a pretty even fight right now. Dad, DMX, and Madden, but he's dead as well. So, it's really just OWO and GP left.
Vantage really tearing apart the one weakness of this comp, not having a hit scan, just being able to tear into Powerhouse, taking down at least 4 people in that one fight, just being able to take Shanghai back that fight.
Yeah, I mean, when we said that Powerhouse was good at taking that frontline fight, it obviously didn't show right there. It was Vantage just being completely dominant. Still no hit scan swaps, though. I don't really know what Powerhouse is gonna do here. Maybe have Gavant try to be sent up, but just a D.Va against a Far Mercy isn't gonna do too much.
I don't think they're really trying to shut down the Pharah. I think they're more trying to stall the Pharah until they can get value. But Vantage finding 3 with the barrage instantly.
4 people with the barrage there for Vantage. 5 if you want to include the DMAC.
That was
very, very nice barrage there. Unexpected. I didn't expect it myself.
I mean, you saw Vantage flying up right there. That's a classic right above the door barrage, finding 3 people.
Yeah, I mean, well played right there overall. That's the only ultimate used as well. So Shanghai, wait, did they use Coalescence? I think they did actually.
That's literally just going to be 3% for Shanghai. They're going to come in this fight with 4 ults, instantly using High Noon. Dad
well, it's about 3. The Meteor Strike from Dad applying a lot of pressure. Tyler's shield falls very low. He's getting pushed back. Madam uses the bomb. It manages to get One Punch Man and knocks Dad off the map. OWO's dead as well, and so is Aspect, and it's just cleanup right now for Vantage and Madam, and yeah, it's a lost fight for Powerhouse. It's not looking too good here, as it's kind of just one fight territory, and
I mean, just showing how Shanghai's defensive positioning is allowing them to kite out that Reaper Doom comp and letting Vantage tear apart the rest of Powerhouse while they're waiting. Like, as you can see, Vantage has already built another barrage in one fight, and he's just tearing apart Powerhouse, getting consistent picks every fight.
It's very confusing that they still haven't swapped with hit scan because Vantage is getting so much value as he gets both supports there with that barrage. Madam gets pinned but gets stunned, but Oa gets stunned up before he can get into a wall. Aspect uses the Blossom, but it only gets Muhammad. That's not going to be enough to win the fight. Gavant, in his last efforts, gets the DMAC on the Madam, and nobody else is going to be able to touch. That is first map going to Shanghai.
That barrage instantly ruined Powerhouse's pushes because they had the beat to engage her, but that barrage shut down Pew Pew from healing up the rest of the Rhine and OPM from actually using that beat to allow them to engage onto Shanghai's front line. That defensive positioning from Shanghai allowed Vantage to actually get value on that Pharah and kite out Aspect and Dad running onto their front line with OO and the rest of Powerhouse. Sorry, I'm running out of breath.
Oh yeah, it's all good. It's, I start running out of breath too. Those fights were really, really long. It's kind of hard to really know what's happening. But I mean, Shanghai, both of them have been playing pretty well. It's just, Shanghai had that small edge. So kind of unfortunate, but I mean, Powerhouse still definitely has a chance to win this. I feel like
Shanghai
it was
showed
just
Shanghai showed that Powerhouse comp definitely has a weakness if you can actually kite out the front line while the Pharah just flies around and picks off people right above them, because that Reaper and Doom cannot deal with the Pharah, and that Diva can only deny it for so long.
Yeah, and it mostly comes down to the fact that both Aspect and Dad are more projectile players. They don't have a dedicated hit scan on their team, so I mean, it's a very smart idea from Shanghai to pick up that that sign and play that Pharah because I mean, there's not much that Powerhouse can really do about it.
Of
I'm losing my
course.
words right now.
Coming
Jesus.
into map 2 here, it's either Anubis, Volskaya, or Hanamura. This is definitely going to be more of an Ashe map. As we saw last week on Hanamura, it showed that Snipes on Ashe can really get a lot of value with the team playing completely around him, not playing around literally anybody else.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry. Uh,
wow.
I mean, if it is a valuable strategy to play around to the league MVP strength, going into Anubis, this is going to be really interesting to see if Shanghai is going to take their Ashe comp and just plop it on a high ground, or they're just going to go with a more brawly comp and stick to their guns against Powerhouse.
Yeah, I mean, Snipes' Ash is something else, really. So I wouldn't be surprised if they see that, or if we see that coming out. I don't really know too much about what Powerhouse is gonna do here. I don't know much about what they do on Temple of Anubis, so we'll have to see. But we're waiting on it.
Temple of Anubis seems a lot more like a dive map catered towards Powerhouse, where they're able to just dive straight onto that first high ground or use natural cover to get to a space where they can dive. However, this is also a map favored towards Shanghai Sellouts, as they can run that Orisa Sig with the Ashe and allow Snipes to get a lot of value with his dynamites and his shots, just playing out in front of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't know like the entirety of that Ash composition. I don't know if they would want to maybe include like a Pharah into that. That wouldn't be a terrible idea, unless they
Pharah
already
might not.
do, and I don't know.
The farm, they don't run a Pharah. I don't think they run Pharah traditionally with it. And usually they'd run the Echo, but a Pharah might not be a bad idea here, considering Powerhouse doesn't have much of a dedicated hit scan. And I'm sorry, I'm saying that a lot. And as they showed last map, Pharah is a critical weakness for any team that knows how to abuse Pharah against Powerhouse.
Yeah, I mean, you say it a lot that Powerhouse doesn't have a dedicated hit scan because it's such a glaring weakness, really, in that lineup. I mean, it's so easy to abuse that fact with something like a Pharah or even an Echo, because I mean, it's very
Yeah,
hard to deal with it as with a projectile or just sending a diva up there.
yeah, of
So, I
course.
mean, Shanghai's playing it very smart right now with these swaps.
Yeah. 2 minutes 30 left. We're just waiting on Powerhouse to confirm any sort of swaps. I doubt they're going to change it here because they've just been sort of running this hard and showing how their comp square got countered hard on Ilios. They might have a little bit of a shake up to do for their own sake to keep them alive in the series. It's far from over, but it's going to need a little bit of a shake up, showing how Shanghai was able to take that 2-0 and just switching the flying characters that Aspect or Dad wasn't able to switch to a hit scan to counter.
I've seen an aspect on like McCree and Widowmaker, and it isn't terrible. Like it's serviceable. But I mean, I don't know if that's enough really to especially contest with snipes and deal with Vantage at the same time. So it's a very bad situation for Powerhouse to be in.
Correct.
So I mean, the way that they handle this is going to be weird. Maybe Dad, I mean, Temple of Anubis is a widely known Reddit Doomfist map, so maybe he can do some weird stuff to try to
Yeah,
take it out, but you never really know at this point. It's
Anubis
Powerhouse.
is known for their really weird Doomfist attack spots where they can just get an incredible amount of vertical mobility and just get up there. However, going out on attack, they're just gonna stick to a classic dive with an Ana, while Shanghai going out with a non-traditional Orisa Sig double shield comp with the Tracer Torb.
Adam has shown a lot of promise on Sig recently, so I mean, people see Madam as, an off support, so like, she can't play off tank, right? But I mean, she's shown a lot of promise, and not just on Diva, unlike some support players who have moved to off tank. But I mean, yeah, there's definitely potential here. I haven't seen too much of Tyler's Orisa, but I do like the DPS comp. The Torb Tracer is actually really good, especially because they know that Powerhouse runs this dive a lot, and a Torbjorn turret is a really good way to pressure out, a Genji or a Tracer or a Lucio. So I do like the ideas.
That's coming out of the spawn here. There's Powerhouse going hard on the dive, straight into the middle, and
OO gets melted. Yeah, I mean, double shield is a pretty good comp to run against this dive if run correctly. If Madam can hit that rock, that Torb turret just laying down constant damage. So, I mean, it's going to be hard to take it out in that spot as well because you have to commit some kind of resource to it. Especially with the DPS that Powerhouse have.
Yeah. Add switching to the Doom, not unexpected here. He might go for those special vertical mobility spots, but he might just go with the Steam and be a punch spot to try to deny snipes or vantage value, or just get quick picks.
A little bit of a Tracer battle going on in the back between Aspect and Snipes. Aspect, though, walks into the LOS of the Torb turret. You can't do that right there. He was falling incredibly low. He had to get out. Kind of in a bad scenario right there. Gavant falling really low, but it doesn't look like anybody else is going to die. Powerhouse is going to be hard for them to push in, though, because one, that Torb turret's there, and two, they don't have Aspect. He switches over to the Reaper, it appears. As, they do take out that Torb turret. It's going to be weird to see how Aspect is going to be able to group back up. Snipes is already on the hunt for him. He scouts him out. As we see the engagement coming in. Torbjorn, the mustard on the point. As still no kills coming out of it yet. The Coalescence coming out from Pew Pew, the Immortality Field. A lot of resources being committed here, but Powerhouse looks to be getting the picks here. Snipes does get Dad, and Muhammad uses the rally, even though it seems to be already lost. It's just the 2 DPS left on point and a Torb turret. Trying to put in as much damage as possible, but it is a 1-5 for Powerhouse.
Getting quick point presence for Powerhouse was a really good idea from them. That just allowed them to force Shanghai to make a move rather than Powerhouse forcing to engage on them. While Shanghai was just having to walk onto them with that double shield comp against the brawl.
Yeah, that was English. Okay, that was played perfectly from Powerhouse. That style, especially with Aspect being gone, that distracted Snipes and really most of Shanghai to kind of try to look for him. So, I mean, that added a little bit of pressure, knowing that there's a Reaper behind really helps a lot. The lift from Madam doesn't get anything, and the beat as well from One Punch Man. A great start to the push, as well as Aspect getting Tyler. You see the Meteor Strike from Dad as well. Doesn't get any kills, but
that was an incredible shatter from OO, immediately getting 4 on the ground and forcing Shanghai to scatterbrain themselves back onto the point.
Yeah, we see Tyler about to go in for a pin. Gets stunned up, however, not even able to touch the point. We see Madam on the ball, trying to stall out as much time as possible. Doesn't get much more. The bomb from Gavant doesn't get anybody, kind of zones him away, however. We do see Vantage on the maze, going to be able to stall out, a solid 10 or so seconds of time, but he's about to get deleted out of this ice block. Yep. Once again, Tyler tries to go for a pin, gets stunned up, pinned off of the point. It's a little bit of a Rhine duel on the right side. Owo wins it. It's just Madam and Muhammad left on the point right now. The beat gets canceled, unfortunately, and I mean, there's still people selling out the point, 99.7% of progress, but it's looking like Powerhouse is going to finally be able to edge it out with 3.5 minutes on the clock. A really good push.
Powerhouse showing a lot more comfort on this map than they showed on Ilios. Maybe they just weren't that great on Ilios compared to how they are in Anubis. Their Anubis is definitely proficient, as shown last week against DC. They were able to take it to 6 rounds and still win out the map, bringing them up in the series. However, this map was definitely clean from them, especially as soon as they switched off dive. They were able to immediately adjust and just roll through Shanghai's defenses straight onto point and force them to make a move into their brawl.
Yeah, I mean, that was played really well. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, Shanghai, I don't really know. That was just kind of weird. The fights, just in general, the situations that they were in. So I mean, they still do have a chance of winning this map, but I don't know. I don't think I see it happening. Maybe a draw, but that's a lot of time to compete with.
Ooh, all right, here comes what we were talking about earlier here. Vantage on the Pharah, trying to take down Powerhouse by showing their one weakness, not having an actual hit scan, especially dedicating to these Reaper Doom comps. Their Diva is definitely going to need to be the one pressuring out Vantage and keeping him away from the rest of the team while they take that 4v5, just to try to take down the rest of the team around them so that the Pharah gets little to no value and they're able to hide around natural cover.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't go like a Pharah or Echo on second point whenever they realized, wait, we can run that. It's kind of weird how they didn't do that. That would have honestly been a smart idea. But we see it here, so maybe this can give them an advantage on the offense. We also see Snipes on his somewhat signature McCree, and just overall the standard meta, other than that Farm Mercy.
I like how you say somewhat signature. Alright.
I mean, his signature is the Widow, so, I mean, you know, you see him on the Kree a lot, but it's alright. We see Vantage getting picked off very early. It's going to be hard to res for Muhammad, unless Shanghai can make a lot of space. But, you know, they just elect to wait him out. There's not much that Powerhouse is going to be able to really do to capitalize on here, because the only person that can really get up there is Gavant and maybe One Punch Man with a good wall ride. Snipes is just getting a few free shots in, and Shanghai is back. Advantage already 88 to his barrage.
Shanghai getting a lot of free angles of aggression onto Powerhouse here and just letting them get free damage.
Yeah, I love the slow approach that Shanghai's taken. As we see Gavant instantly demexed and the barrage gets 2 from Vantage. And that's just a 1 fight right there for Shanghai. A very quick take, and maybe they'll be able to contest this time bank, this very high time bank that Powerhouse had because of this push.
And here we see the two differences between the two teams. Powerhouse likes to get fights really quickly done and over with, especially with their Reaper Doom comp. They're able to take care of targets quickly with the target focus. However, Shanghai likes to take their fights more slowly and just let the timer tick down and wear out the enemy's nerve.
Yeah, I mean, all of that poke damage that both Snipes and Vantage got just applied so much pressure to it. And I mean, even though it kind of hands supports ultimates, if that Pharah barrage or that high hit the fight instantly. So I mean, you know, that style, you know, works. But obviously helping here, Snipes gets that very quickly. An engagement already coming in. Madam uses the bomb, gets 1 Punch Man with it. The shatter from Tyler as well, only gets 1, but he does get that pin onto Pew Pew. Snipes and Vantage cleaning it up with the ultimates of their own. Vantage getting 2 barrages, really in 2 fights. So that's kind of insane. Snipes uses that high noon to clear out 1 Punch Man. Trying to stall.
Out hard from Powerhouse here, just trying to take down the clock long enough so where they still get their time, not down to 52 minutes. However, Shanghai looking heavily favored in this fight, but Vant drops the bomb. It's gonna get 3
bombs. A great bomb, and that as well cleaning up. That looked like such a 1 fight, but Gavant, I'm not sure how that bomb hit so many.
That bomb was in complete Hail Mary, and it was able to take down the Far Mercy duo as well as Snipes. That was incredible. That saved Powerhouse's time bank, and it's going to allow them to maybe stall out long enough to allow them to actually get more time than Shanghai on their next attack.
That stagger that they just got onto Madam too basically guarantees that they're going to at least have a higher time bank. So great plays there from Gavant specifically, and Powerhouse in general. Good stalls as well. I mean, 2 ticks are on the point for Shanghai, but I mean, that's not going to matter if the round ends. So we're going to have to see. I do like that Powerhouse is holding over here around this natural cover. You know, taking these sort of weird angles of engagement to try to avoid that Pharah. But I mean, Tyler gets that Fire Strike pick on the aspects, as well as the Shatter.
That could have actually helped them hold it more here. One Punch Man and Gavant just trying to stall their best, but they get immediately taken down by Snipes and Vantage, and this is just going to show how literally the two patterns work, where Shanghai takes more poke and waits for their time to engage, while Powerhouse runs head first into the enemy team, and if they can't get that and they get pointed out, they're going to get staggered hard.
Yeah, I mean, Powerhouse has always been, more of an attack-heavy team like that. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's still very close time banks-wise. An 8-second difference, with that recent change to 2 CP. They're both to around 2 minutes in time right now. So, we see Shanghai getting the attack first by 8 seconds. I mean, that time isn't going to do too much. And once again, we see that Pharmacy coming out. So Aspect still hasn't picked a character yet. Is he going to do something about this Pharah, or is something else going to happen all of a sudden?
Nope,
Okay,
going
Aspect
the
picks the Reaper again. It's weird to see because it's not going to be able to do anything about a Pharah. I mean, it was so easy to see that Vantage was just rolling over Powerhouse until Gavant hit that bomb, and then he just did it the next fight. So
and again, it showed that Powerhouse was able to take down Vantage by him taking a little bit too aggressive of positioning, and Powerhouse just turning around completely on him with all their focus fire going straight into him. Even the Doomfist and Reaper were able to take shots at him and deal damage. Powerhouse set up way back on the high ground, trying to take care of Vantage's high aggression here.
Yeah, I do like the idea to take high ground here. I mean, it makes your DPS and, your supports and stuff a little bit more able, I guess you could say, to shoot at that far, as we see pressure being applied to the point by Shanghai. Powerhouse is going to have to do something here. Savant's flying up to contest that far and not able to, kill anything as he falls incredibly low. It looks like he'll be able to get healed up, however. And once again, Powerhouse is just kind of like taking these angles behind natural cover, but that puts him in a really bad position to be able to contest this point. So see Snipes now up on the high ground as well, getting these free poke shots. One Punch Man gets stunned up, but it doesn't look like he's gonna die. Madam and Tyler both get taken down. And there was that talk that we had on Ilios about winning that frontline battle will, most likely win you that fight. And I feel like Shanghai took a little bit too aggressive of a push there. So, yeah. I mean, the front line just kind of rolled over.
You gotta remember, the DPS battle here is definitely gonna be heavily favored towards Shanghai, with Vantage just able to apply so much pressure without Powerhouse having a hit scan, and Snipes just taking free shots left and right. It just allows them to take so much pressure, while Powerhouse is forced to go left and right around these natural cover spots just to stay alive.
And I mean, as you say that, we see it. There's pressure being applied to the point. They're gonna have to contest. They don't want to give them a tick right now. And I mean, they're playing this out fairly well right now. But at some point, Vantage's Pharah is gonna overwhelm them. You see Madam all alone on the point as they try to see the engagement. Vantage uses the barrage, but almost all of it gets eaten up by Gavant. That was great play from him. Muhammad flying down, looking to try to get the res, but he gets goofed away by One Punch Man. Bad. Gets the seismic slam on the Snipes. Owo winning that Ryan duel as well. And it looks like Powerhouse is going to be able to hold here despite that lack of a hit scan. And maybe they finally found out how to counter this Pharah.
Incredible play from Powerhouse. Incredible play from Powerhouse there. I was just waiting for Vantage to get a little bit too aggressive and use the barrage. That just allowed Gavant saved his entire DM and it broke right at the end of it. So it just allowed Powerhouse to deny Vantage's Pharah ult onto the support line and just take him down quickly, causing Shanghai to have to go for the res or just play out the 5v6. Muhammad definitely did go for the res, but One Punch Man was aware enough to actually take out the boop and just continue the 5v6, and Owo was just able to rest on the front line with the rest of his team.
Yeah, I mean, Powerhouse finally got knowledge of the situations. I mean, we said a lot of bad things about the way that they held their taking those natural cover positions, but I mean, they made it work and they did pretty well with it. As we see, Vantage is on the main now, no longer on that Pharah, and we see the classic old dive from Powerhouse. So I mean, we see more signature play styles really from both teams.
Powerhouse
But
still on the dive after OO immediately got melted after jumping straight into the enemy team. Snipe's gonna be on that McCree and advantage on that maze. Sorry. It's gonna deny a lot of value for OO there. Well, he may get a lot of cleave damage into the center of that team because it's all grouped up in one giant ball. It's a matter of how long will Shanghai take to knock him down.
Shanghai has always had really good focus fire, so I'm gonna assume that it's not gonna take that long. Maybe OO has some tricks up his sleeve that he just didn't show on first attack. We'll have to see. They have 2 minutes to really work this out. So it's gonna be fun to see really how they engage here as we see the first dive coming in. This time they're all in as a group. OO is not alone. Gavant gets frozen up, but it doesn't look like he's gonna go down. No, he's not. And I mean, just a small regroup. OO tries to go up for another jump and gets booped away. Really good boop there from Muhammad.
This is really just showing how...
Look, every time OO jumps up, either Muhammad or Madam boops him away. And Gavant's trying his best to make some space, and I guess that works. Dad gets that
massive
really quick on the snipes, but OO's dead as well. It's an even fight right now. Ooh, OO and Dad being down, those are two crucial picks in this dive comp. Madam trying to take out Pew Pew, but she gets slept. And it looks like Shanghai is still gonna edge this fight out, I believe. Yeah, they are.
Pew Pew got a massive ante in the center of that fight, just allowing Powerhouse to engage a little bit aggressively, but a little bit too far steps forward by Dad and OO, and they just get immediately punished, and that fight becomes a 4v5, and they just start losing it.
Yeah, and that was a long fight too, so there's only one fight available for Powerhouse to take now. But I mean, you look at it, they have that Nano Blade. That Nano Blade has been so successful for them, really just overall in recent times. Madam eats the Pulse Bomb. Okay, I thought a Blizzard was eaten, but no, the Pulse Bomb from Aspect gets eaten, and oh no, both Dad and Pew Pew are dead. That Ana being down is gonna hurt really bad. Tyler is well getting OO. And even though Snipes is down, it doesn't look too good right now for Powerhouse as Gavant and OPM are down as well. I mean, Gavant's still alive, but he's in Baby Diva form. He's gonna get taken out. It's just 10 seconds left. Dad switched over to the Doom and OO to the ball. So, I mean, they're gonna be able to recontest, but it's gonna be hard for them to really win. As Dad gets deleted basically immediately. Aspect's in the back on the Tracer trying to get any kind of value. He's almost to his Pulse Bomb if he can live, which he's able to. He throws the Pulse Bomb on the Tyler, doesn't get the kill however. And Vantage gets one punch man. It's just two people left on the point for Powerhouse. Make that 0. Gavant's dead as well, and that is a draw. And oh boy, map 6, really just maybe.
Yep. And as you can see here, teams are really just starting to develop their own identities, where Shanghai can thrive in longer fights, but Powerhouse is really trying to get those over fast or take them in the stall fights.
Yeah, I mean, Lilith said it pretty well in match chat, but
yep.
It's ooh.
Screw TCP.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty bad mode.
Yeah.
That was. It's gonna be a close one.
From Pew Pew.
This match is gonna be a close one, kind of like a lot of people predicted from it, and I mean both teams are really showing themselves right now. Shanghai does still have that 1-0 lead, but the series isn't over yet. Powerhouse has a choice between a Kings Row, Iconwell, and Numbani. We're waiting on the decision.
I mean, this honestly all depends on how Powerhouse wants to play it. They have Gavant, which could be good on Zarya, which was definitely a weakness to Shanghai last week with Sermi on the Zarya. And this is just going to allow Powerhouse to run their traditional Reaper Doom comp without much trouble. There's not much open area for Vantage to really be on the far or Echo here, and it's just going to allow Powerhouse to run into them if they're careful about the walls.
Yeah, Kings Row. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. That Farah's still good, but there's definitely better characters to pick. We'll have to see if Vantage does try to incorporate it. But we don't really know. It's gonna be interesting as we have to do all the spectator swapping now, or the host does, Mr. Designs.
Shanghai taking the attack first. Really interesting stance from Shanghai, actually going for the attack first rather than the favorable defense, where if they hold, they don't really need to play the map that much. We could see another.
You typically see that, yeah, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I rarely see teams pick attack, even in games that I play or anything.
All Spectre's currently red. What are they going to choose? I'm just kidding. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, Lord.
So we're just waiting upon the R's from the readies from both teams.
Yeah, of course. It's going
Just
to be
making sure
interesting
that
to
there's any
see.
swaps,
It's
all
gonna
that.
it's gonna be interesting to see if there's gonna be any swap up from comps. If Powerhouse is really gonna switch anything up, really,
It doesn't
it's
appear so
yeah.
because they gave their R's, Shanghai gave their R's as well, and we're starting it up. So Shanghai on the attack here, which is actually interesting. You never really see that picked first, as we've already stated. So it's gonna be interesting to see, what they try to run out with here, and as well as Powerhouse. I'm sure that they weren't expecting it either. So Pharah, there's always a chance for it. Vantage can play a lot of characters, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, Vantage has definitely shown himself as a projectile DPS ace, especially coming from CDC. Now onto Shanghai, showing how he's really covering a really strong spot on flex DPS. And here you can see Powerhouse actually mirroring the meta instead of going for their own Reaper Doom, knowing that McCree value might be too much for them to handle, rather than having a Pharah ravage them and playing around natural cover.
I'm not here to be toxic, but let's just say it's going to be interesting to see how Aspect is going to compare with Snipes.
Yeah, of course.
Aspect is a projectile player being put on the hit scan, out of course, emergency sort of circumstances. He has a chance, but I don't know. He's probably not going to be the one to focus on that Creed duel. He knows that Snipes is one of the best hit scans in intermediate, so I mean, he can
Especially
still get value. His McCree is decent, and fairly consistent. Lilithy immediately calling for a pause right off the start of the map. That's fun.
hmm, you can definitely see how well the Ana Moira difference. It's really gonna be heavily here. It's if Madam can deny those anti-nades, it might as well be Pew Pew on the Moira to get that burst healing in. But if Pew Pew can get those anti-nades off without having any trouble and get them onto the tanks and allowing them to actually get in and get dealt with immediately, that's going to be huge for the side of Powerhouse.
Yeah. I mean, a meta matchup, you'd think on paper, it looks like Powerhouse would have that advantage. Just like Pew Pew is a shining star on One Punch Man. He's a Lucio main. You see Gavant, one of the best divas in intermediate, and you see Owo, who's always been a consistent main tank. But it's really that DPS duel that is very crucial, especially playing against a team like Shanghai, who are really relying on their DPS. I play that slow, methodical sort of playstyle that just relies on their DPS to get picks.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, their DPS are usually seen as better than the Powerhouse DPS. So I mean, it's an even matchup, and that's what I love seeing about this is the two different sort of styles, the one that's relying on the tank line and the one that's relying on the DPS, going against each other. And I mean, Shanghai has taken a little bit of a advantage so far, but I mean, it's still interesting because I mean, it's really able to go both ways right now.
It's really going to be dependent on how big the support and tank difference is compared to the DPS difference. Dad could definitely stand up to Vantage, but I doubt Aspect taking that duel and consistently winning it against Snipes. Coming out of the pause here, it's definitely going to be interesting seeing the first fight go down. Shanghai choosing to rotate around the top ropes here just to try to drop onto Powerhouse here, while Powerhouse rotating into that little corner to try to keep them so.
Rarely see a rotation up there, so it's going to be interesting as Shanghai taking a very aggressive push, actually. Both Maywalls coming out. Not much value coming out of them, however. Nobody's dead yet, but a huge purple onto the members of Shanghai from Pew Pew. Both Vantage and Muhammad dead. Those are two crucial picks. Tyler's down as well. It's a very quickly what appears to be a one fight for Powerhouse, but you never know at this point.
And as we said earlier, like those anti-nades are definitely going to be a deciding factor in these fights. While Snipes can definitely make a huge difference in the DPS duel, those anti-nades are going to be the deciding factors in these fights. As shown here, Vantage and Muhammad instantly went down when those anti-nades went on them.
Yeah, and I mean, they were incredibly low. That was just kind of a perfect anti from Pew Pew and really stabilize that engagement there because it looked like Owo was on the back foot. Speaking of him being on the back foot, he gets walled off, both main walls out again, but he gets nanoed this time. Vantage taken out very quickly after that, and the coalescence does come out from Loyalty to try to equalize here, and it's going to be able to as Owo does get taken out. The main wall comes out from Dad, but no value there. Gavant gets demeched and taken out by the D.Va counterpart, Madam, and it looks like Shanghai is going to be able to take first point as Madam gets a little bit more cleanup going. Snipes gets purpled, no kill from it. The skill orb getting Pew Pew, and yeah, Powerhouse needs to disengage here. Pew Pew is going to have a long spawn, so they're not going to really be able to contest against Shanghai for a while until he gets back.
Desperation really showing from Powerhouse in that last fight, where they were relying on that anti-nade to be huge and actually allow them to engage, where Shanghai, where they had the nano, yes, but Shanghai was able to be disciplined and restabilize against that anti-nade and stay away from Vantage, who had Cryo to deny any value on it. While he died first, Shanghai was able to stabilize and take them down.
See the next engagement right here around the corner. Powerhouse was unable to get the choke because of that Ana dying so quickly. We see Aspect using the high noon to get eaten up, however, in the beat as well from Muhammad. A great shatter block there, and it couldn't be equalized as Tyler hits a massive shatter, gets stunned up, but it's too late. The kills are already pouring in. It's just Gavant left on the point, and he is going to die as well. And I don't know. Maybe they will be able to recontest at the end of the point here. I don't know if they're going to want to, though.
The big deciding factor in that fight was really the shield work between the two teams. Aspect held up them Creel for so long that Shanghai was just able to hold shield and deny that ult, while Owo had to hold shield to keep Aspect alive mid-fight. Powerhouse looking to re-engage with that beat, but it's going to be really worth it. Shanghai doing the exact same thing.
We do see the Blizzard come out, and it's massive. A lot of people frozen. Madam might die to it. Doesn't look like it actually, but I mean, there are other kills coming out for other reasons, and Madam appears to be getting staggered actually, which is a smart idea.
Oh, drops his barrier in the name of Madam getting stalled out. Madam definitely does have this mech, but they're gonna deny her from actually remeching. Loyalty
Pretty good stagger though to kind of halt the momentum, so I like the idea.
Loyalty switched to that Ana, allowing Shanghai to return the value with those anti-nades. Rather than the incredible sustain tactic, it's gonna be both teams fishing for those antis onto the enemy team to see how hard they can engage and who they engage on, really.
See the engagement coming in, a nice Maywall, both Maywalls coming out, and the Blizzard from Vantage. So many people frozen for Powerhouse. The D.Va Bomb from Gavant doesn't end up getting any kills, unfortunately, and it looks like Shanghai's gonna take over this fight as well as second point. So in the third point here, we do see Powerhouse as the only team with an ultimate currently, but Muhammad is getting awfully close to that beat, which should help with an Owo shatter. 3 minutes and 30 on the time bank, not that bad. It could be better, but still not a terrible situation really for Shanghai. They can probably take a dry fight here. Wouldn't be a bad idea because they don't have really any ults.
Aspect in the exact with him Creel, but finds Muhammad this time.
Muhammad pushed up just a little bit too far, I'd say, from what it seems. That as well getting a very, I'd say, lucky pick on advantage there. Just throwing in those right clicks.
As you can see here, another team is going to be instantly in with a lot of ults. We're both going to need to build them up very fast. While Shanghai is leaned for the beat, Powerhouse is definitely leading on the Shatter and the Blizz. Aspect switching to the Reaper for more frontline pressure, but is that frontline pressure going to be worth it compared to the range that Shanghai has against Powerhouse?
It's going to be interesting to see as we see the wall from Dad, but a huge shatter from Tyler to really equalize it. Both Nano Blues coming out onto each of the Reinhardts, but the beat from Muhammad will secure that fight. Tyler just kind of going in. Oh wait, no, that was Owo. I completely mixed things up. Owo kind of going in, just dying on the point, and it's last fight territory.
Tyler is just getting free shatters for the amount of shield break Shanghai has. And really, this is the amount of Powerhouse not calling for really the shatter fights. It's really Shanghai. They plan to break shields and then use the shatter onto the rest of the team. Blizzard coming out for Powerhouse.
It's a pretty good Blizzard as both the Ana and the D.Va gets frozen, and Vantage's Blizzard gets stunned out. but Aspect and Pew Pew are both dead right now, and so is Owo. Maybe there's still a chance for Stall as Vantage is dead, but it doesn't look like it, as there's still picks just being taken from Shanghai. It's just Dad and OPM left. And Dad does get taken out by a shatter from Tyler. Aspect gets left as well. He's going to be unable to touch. Owo barely manages to pin onto the point with about a meter left. It's just Gavant left, staying on the Zarya because he's so close to the grab, but couldn't get it. And with a respectable 1.5 minutes, we see Shanghai getting all 3 points.
Oh, jeez. That shield break from Shanghai really hurt Powerhouse in the long run. That literally just let Tyler get free shatter after shatter. Literally five-man shatters back to back. That shield break is just huge from Shanghai, and the Powerhouse is doing nothing to contest it. Wherever they see that, they should really just start trying to push in and really focusing down the shields. If not, like, they just need to bubble in and push in to, like, deny the shatters, or just not hold up shield right in front of them, or use natural cover as they did against Farah.
Yeah, and another thing with that shatter on third point was that Dad hit a nice wall onto Tyler, and he was completely isolated, so Owo just dropped his shield, and I guess just didn't think about Tyler having that shatter. So, I mean, it was kind of unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. It was still a pretty decent hold, considering, you know, all the circumstances that they were put through. We'll see Aspect possibly keeping this Widow? Maybe?
Nobody peeks out there. Why would you go Widow here? Bruh. Literally everybody knows to stay behind the freaking hotel. Please do not go Widow here, just to try to go in an early pick. Okay, thank you.
I think you want the Widow just to try to, like, get any scouting done, but I'm assuming that he didn't see anybody. The Shanghai are smart people and didn't peek past that hotel. Just see Dad going in very quickly on the Doomfist, using all of his abilities to try to secure a kill. Nothing comes out of it, and a big purple from Lilithy gets followed up on as Olo gets taken out, and Dad, you know, trying to get some kind of value.
I've seen this way too much. Maze surviving full punch Doomfist, but it's not going to matter. As Gavant's able to restabilize the fight, getting a pick on the snipe. Vantage in the backline trying to get a freeze, and Gavant does end up falling. But One Punch Man is trying to hold the front line while Aspect's playing a little bit defensive to try to... Why did he read there?
Or not Aspect. Pew Pew uses that Coalescence, but a big shatter from Tyler. Takes down 3. Dad does manage to stabilize, however, by getting 2 in the back line. Man, Lucio going down are 2 crucial picks. It's still somewhat even and definitely winnable for Shanghai. The purple from Lilithy doesn't end up getting anybody. Madam is the last person on the point, but she's demeched. It's just Lilithy. It's just the 2 supports. Snipes uses the High Noon at trying to get value. He does. He does get a pick on OO, but I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to recontest with that. OPM winning that Lucio duel. That was going on throughout most of that.
Of course, and was really just showing how Shanghai really can't deal with the Zarya here. This is just showing us being a dominant Zarya map for any team that runs Zarya. It's shown against CDC. It's an incredible weakness for Shanghai to play against, really. Powerhouse showing with a dominant attack, 5 minutes to cap through third here.
Yeah, Gavant is much more of a D.Va player than a Zarya player, so it's, you know, pretty interesting to see him doing this well, honestly. He does have that grab, waiting for an opportunity to use it, but we do see that Blizzard coming out from Vantage as well as the bomb. It's going to be huge. It gets to both Gavant and Pew Pew down. Obo's still trying to take this fight as he uses the Shatter, but unfortunately it gets blocked. Aspect as well using the Blossom might actually be able to equalize this. And that, as well as Aspect, of course, getting those cleanup picks, and it's actually a 1 fight.
As soon as Dad took down Snipes, Powerhouse knew they could dedicate to that fight. Dedicating both the Shatter and the Blossom to it, they were able to take down Muhammad, and that was just really cleanup for the rest of Powerhouse versus the rest of Shanghai. Showing how they had the DPS power versus how Shanghai really just had the tank, Gretchen, and support to stay up, really.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird fight. You know, the Blossom and the Shatter seemed like waste, but I mean, it ended up working out as we see a bunch of ultimates coming out to start things out. We see a massive Shatter once more from Tyler. He is then popping off on this Reinhardt today. And it is, you know, a 1 fight at the very end of point B. for Shanghai. And, you know, maybe they can hold for a while here. They do have quite a few ultimates coming up soon.
It's going to be really interesting to see how Tyler will ever get shatter blocked, considering the amount of pressure that's being put on OO and his shield to just stay up and be able to block these things. Really, OO has just been called out by Tyler, and he's just been able to get free shatters left and right, getting 5 or more every time now, I swear.
Yeah, I feel like Shanghai is just putting way more pressure onto OO than Powerhouse is putting onto Tyler, and it's really costing them here. One Punch Man gets killed by the High Noon, as well as OO going down. It's a very quick... I'm pretty sure it's a lost fight. Aspect does get Tyler,
Snipes is still up there, allowing him to get free damage. But yeah, this is gonna be a lost fight for Powerhouse.
Snipes on this high ground. I'm not sure how he got there, but
Maywell.
Oh yeah, Maywell. Yeah, I forget about things like that. So yeah, he gets up there, and that's a huge spot. Really, it's hard to contest in there because there's no way to get up there unless you either have a Maywell or a mobility thing. And the only people that have that really are, you know, Aspect, who can just get stunned right out of CP, Dad, who, you know, can't really do too much against the McCree solo, and, you know, there's just something about it that doesn't really let them contest, you know, Snipes. So he's just gonna have free shots. Vantage uses the Blizzard. OO tries to get a shatter to, you know, stun people away, but it doesn't work. And... you know, that's a lost fight again for Shanghai. They're holding this for a while, and look at the ultimates that they have.
3 minutes takedown. 3 minutes takedown from the Powerhouse time bank. Ult after ult used, and they're not able to finish up this second point push. Coming with the Gravid, Blossom, and close to Dumolt and Lucy Volt, while Shanghai's coming up on both Tankles, McCreel, and B. While Snipes is still going to be on this high ground, it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to get a pick onto one of Powerhouse again. Powerhouse using the long rotation, just going to allow Snipes to get a longer angle and just free up more space for him.
This is great from Shanghai, really abusing the fact. Oh man, Madam gets the ulti onto Gavant. That's terrible, and she gets 2 with the bomb. Madam showing incredible diva play right now, and it's a 1 fight. As I was saying, Snipes is really abusing the lack of a diva here by taking that high ground.
That's all from Shanghai. That's all from Shanghai, building up the Blizz and Cole again. But meanwhile, it's going to be interesting to see if Powerhouse is going to be able to do anything for against the 2 supporters from Powerhouse. If Powerhouse is going to be able to engage these Cole lefties and beat, and they're going to go straight in for it.
Not a bad idea. They know that Shanghai didn't have any ultimates coming up, other than, you know, this Vantage May ult that is getting incredibly close, but he gets taken out. So I mean, taking that engagement there with the B was very smart. The coalescence from Lilithy to match the one from Pew Pew does come out. However, it still looks like Powerhouse is going to win. OO shatter doesn't get anybody, but it does secure the fight, and they're going to be able to cap, but I don't know if they're going to be able to cap with time, and that's going to be the issue there. I hope we don't see another draw. I don't want a map 7.
It's looking very, very close between the 2 teams right now. Powerhouse rolling out on that Reaper Doom brawl, showing how much prowess they have on the comp, and Madam's going to immediately get pushed off that high ground.
You see the Blizzard coming out from Vantage, freezing up OO yet again. He's going to get bursted down as well as Aspect, and they're going to need to back up quickly. Powerhouse has a very, very low chance of capping with time now.
Yeah,
so
especially these ults coming out from Shanghai. The 4 ults that they were able to hold that last point on second with against their freaking Grav, Shatter, and like Blossom as well. Madam gonna need to show up hard to deny this grab, but the bomb was able to get a lot last time. Let's see if it mirrors again.
Oh, OPM gets taken out, and Snipes gets 2 with his Heinen as well. Snipes gets 3 overall in the fight, but a backup, you know, very quickly from the Powerhouse members. And now they can only rely on a draw, but that's if they capture at all. They gotta realize, wait, we need to capture the second half. So they gotta get to work here. They do have a lot of ultimates, basically 5 coming up pretty soon, within the fight at least. OO has been farming up his shatters fairly quickly as well. So we'll have to see a
thrown from downtown.
well as the meteor, but the beat to kind of negate possible value. As we see OO dies to the bomb, and that does equalize with a pick on the Tyler, as well as Aspect using that Blossom to get snipes. It's somewhat even right now. Muhammad over contesting the point all alone. He's gonna die though. He's stayed alive for a really long time, stalling out a lot of time. And Shanghai's gonna be able to regroup here for a second chance at contesting, maybe without the Lucio, but I mean,
Powerhouse
a
fully
5v6
grouped on the card. Wait, never mind. Tyler dropping very low immediately.
Getting Tyler, but that goes down as well. Vantage's Vantage is dead. It's an even fight right now. OPM's it as well. Snipes getting 2 here. Will he be able to clutch it out like he's done so many other fights for this team? I don't think so. Gavant does get snipes. It's just 3 left, 4 left now on the point. Gavant popping off, gets 2, but he gets booped off the map, and QQ goes down as well. It's just Aspect left, and it looks like Shanghai.
Dad's trying his hardest to come in with OPMs.
Looks like Shanghai is with the advantage right now as Dad goes down as well. It's just Aspect and One Punch Man left, and how much?
We'll come to the shatter, but it's not gonna be able to deal with
gets the shatter, and it gets 2 and he pins Muhammad, but he can't get back on the point, and it's Shanghai's Sellouts winning map 3. I almost said map 2. 2-0 on the scoreboard out of 3 maps. No map 7 potential.
This is really
or unfortunately, depending on who you are.
This really shows how Shanghai took their experience against CDC and used it against Powerhouse, really. This just showed, like, how well CDC was able to adapt to their weaknesses last week and just use it against people who thought they could abuse it. Along with that, they just showed how well they were able to respond to all of Powerhouse's ults, while they might have lost a few when they didn't have ults. And Powerhouse did, but it's just showing how well Shanghai is able to repel ults with just a few of them, even.
And I'm not too sure about, how Powerhouse's mental is, but they might be starting to tilt a little bit because, I mean, they're losing these really winnable fights, and OWO is just getting so much pressure taken onto him. And, I've played main tank in the past. It's really mentally... you get mentally boomed when you're just taking that much pressure. You really can't do much. So I don't. Powerhouse's mentality might be not too good right now. So is the series already over, or is Powerhouse going to be able to bounce back? It's going to be weird and interesting to see. As they picked Gibraltar, I kind of expected this because they're a dive team. So we'll have to see.
It's really a matter of how badly they're boomed by the fact that they're down 2-0, although they brought them so close. Like, their brawl has just been so weak against that one Pharah comp that's just torn them apart for the past 2 maps, really.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm closing a chip bag. It's getting stale, but I agree. I mean, that the Pharah comp you didn't see, I don't think at all on Kings Row, but I mean, Shanghai, Tyler specifically, has just been rolling over most of Powerhouse there, mostly because of all that pressure on OWO. And honestly, I feel like it comes mostly down to Powerhouse just not pressuring Tyler enough. Because I mean,
really.
Because either way, you saw either Vantage pressuring OWO or once again mostly Vantage pressuring OWO, but like either on the Pharah or like on the Mei or Snipes on the McCree or whatever. So much pressure is being put onto OWO there, and that's what's winning them fights because it's very hard to take that fight as a main tank into all that. So Powerhouse needs to either equalize or negate that pressure that Shanghai is giving.
Yeah, this is going to be actually really interesting here. As we saw last week, they put 4 people on Snipes here on an off angle just to allow him to get that much value because, he's a league MVP. He's got to get a lot of value with anything he does, on Ashe at least. So let's see if they pull it out again, or they're just going to stick to their guns with the meta and just really roll through Powerhouse as they've been doing for the past few maps.
Powerhouse has been playing this dive a lot, and Gibraltar is a very dive map. So I wouldn't be surprised if they pull it out again, but it's not really been working for them. So okay, they do pull it out, but like it's still weird to see that they are because I feel like they're having a better chance at winning by taking like a mirror brawl. And as we see, Vantage once again on that Pharah could be catastrophic really for Powerhouse.
It really just depends on how Shanghai plays around this Pharah. If they play it like they have a Lucio Mei, then it's really just going to spell downfall. But if they play it where they can kite back and just and just disengage easily from the Powerhouse dive, then they just really take the fight for free and just let Snipes and Vantage tear apart OO and the rest of Powerhouse one by one.
Gibraltar does have a lot of high ground, however, so there's definitely going to be a slightly better chance at contesting this Pharah, but it's not going to be that high. As we see flying through the skies, we see the Rhine Diva instead of the Winston Diva for Shanghai. But overall, you know, the good old classic dive from Powerhouse, we're going to have to see how they incorporate it here, as it looks like they're diving directly on top of Lilithy. Not able to take him out, unfortunately, as we see the Wraith One Punch Man first to die here due to Tyler's big rocket hammer, and we see him getting OO as well. It doesn't look like Powerhouse is going to be able to take this fight. Pew Pew, you know, getting bullied in the backline by Snipes, of course, as always. And so there we go, lost fight. They're going to have a chance of recontesting because that was a very early fight. So, I mean, there's still definitely a chance for Powerhouse to be holding here at point 1, but
as you can see, really, Shanghai was able to take quick angles of aggression while Snipes is trying to distract Pew Pew from healing OO and the rest of the team. Just, like, Vantage and the rest of Shanghai were just able to just tear apart the Powerhouse team that dove in. As you can see again here, OO gets ruined.
Yeah, OO is just kind of getting deleted. Lilithy does die, however, so it's sort of equal. But Vantage already with that barrage, kind of solo barrages Gavant, so there's still something to be done. OPM gets nano, the boost you onto the point, and we see the res as well from Muhammad. So not much that OPM can do, despite the fact that he's been boosted. And there it is, 1 point for Shanghai. Vantage on the Pharah, you know, putting it on the back of him. And not many ultimates really for Powerhouse. This is looking very bad, as they switch to that Doom Reaper that has been known for not doing much against this Pharah. So it's weird what Powerhouse is doing right now.
It's really going to be interesting to see if anybody on the spaceship might be able to contest Vantage on the Pharah here. He's just going really aggressive on the event and Big Max him.
Yeah, I mean, what they're doing is they're making it to where, like, they send 1 or 2 people in the backline, and it either sends Powerhouse back to help, or that player's dead. So, I mean, it's just free space for the Shanghai team, and it's, you know, looking like a 1 fight again. OO does get Tyler, but OPM and Dad are dead as well, so it's not looking good right now for Powerhouse, despite this being a map that, you know, their signature comp thrives in. It's just, they're not looking that good right now. We see Gavant's almost getting VMAX. It doesn't, he does, okay. That's really bad, actually. I'm going to assume he just jumps off. He does. And point 2, very quickly going to Shanghai. 5 minutes on the clock. Oh, whoa, not too sure what he was doing.
This is probably not looking good for Powerhouse at all. Not really being able to build up those ults on that really ult-dependent snowball type of comp. Well, Shanghai is just taking their fight slow but slowly while letting Snipes and Vantage just get straight into position where they can just take down the rest of Powerhouse 1 by 1.
Snipes just threw a pulse bomb. It stuck One Punch Man. He tried to run back into spawn, but Aspect was outside of spawn, so he unfortunately died to it. Kind of a funny sight to see, as we see OPM being taken out eventually anyways. Vantage is just doing so much on this Pharah to apply pressure. We see the bomb from Gavant. An attempt to get value, but it doesn't get any advantages. The barrage gets Pew Pew. And they're doing nothing about this Pharah, and it's really hurting them. 4 minutes on the clock, and it already looks like they're about to cap all 3 points.
Vantage was able to find through on that Pharah, and it's just really starting to show more and more why Powerhouse needs a hit scan here.
The other decision I can think of is Aspect as a Pharah player, maybe match the Pharah, try to win that Pharah 1v1. That's really the best thing that I can think of right now, because everything else that they seem to be trying right now isn't working. Vantage is just rolling over them. Just think about the benefits that a McCree could have against this composition. You know, taking out Snipes on Tracer as well as that Vantage Pharah. As we keep speaking about it, him and Snipes are just killing everybody. All the attempts at stalling, I mean, it is stalling out time, but there's no way that a fight's going to be won like this. Vantage uses the barrage as well, just going directly into the spawn. Gavant has been stalling out for a really long time though. The Coalescence comes up from Pew Pew as well to sort of sustain. Aspects on the point on Tracer as well as OO. There's a lot of people coming back from respawns, but nobody is dying. That's an issue. Snipes wins that Tracer duel against Aspect, and I can't say it's looking like a one fight because they keep stalling it out. Gavon does get Tyler, which is really
occasionally
big.
just getting one person for every 2 rockets, just seeing clean up 3 on Powerhouse on point.
Muhammad does get the res on the Tyler as well. So all of that, the only kill that they've really gotten this entire stall fight is back in the fight. And Madam does get demeched, and Lilithy does get taken out, but the barrage from Vantage gets 2. Vantage is just killing everybody, but just a little bit too slow. Finally, OPM goes down, but still Olo's on the point. You know, despite the fact that they got rolled throughout most of the start of this map, they're stalling out a lot of time, and you can't discredit that. Gavant uses the bomb as well. Aspect does touch point. Tyler gets stuck by the wolf bomb, but doesn't die, unfortunately. And they're still stalling this out. Finally, it looks like it's going to be lost as OPM and Dad get taken out, but that took a long time and a lot of time out of that time bank. 2 minutes about.
Can somebody go back in the freaking replay and tell me how many final blows Vantage got in that fight? Because I literally just see, like, half the time I just see him pop up 3 times in the kill feed, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, Vantage was killing everybody, but just a little bit too slow, and that stall kept coming out. And two minutes is still quite a bit of time, but it's definitely a lot better than the 4 minutes that Shanghai was looking to have. So, I mean, credit where credit's due. Powerhouse had a great stall there. After this map, I'm going to need some water if we keep going.
At the same time, freaking Shanghai is just able to completely clean them one by one, and it might have taken a long time for them to fully be cleared, but it just really showed how Shanghai was just able to stabilize longer in that fight, and Powerhouse was really able to find their footing on that cart, as Vantage just kept picking them off. As we can see here, Dad going on that Echo might be more of a solution to the Pharah, trying to distract her a little bit more early on. But it just might be a spawn pick as well.
I kind of like the pick of the Echo from Dad. I feel like that's going to be better at contesting a Pharah than, you know, the picks that they've had recently, because, I mean, Dad can literally just fly in the air, basically right up into Vantage's face, and it's a little bit easier to aim the projectiles of Echo than Forest. So I mean, he especially with the Mercy Pocket, he can definitely maybe win a air duel against the Spara. But I mean, we'll have to see how Dad takes this approach here. We see, other than that, you know, the normal dive that Powerhouse runs that hasn't been working this game. We'll see. Vantage getting 2 direct hits right out of midair, and One Punch Man getting taken out by snipes as well.
You can see them trying to counter this Pharah with the Echo, but it's not really working at all. As Dad immediately switches back to the Genji and OPM back on that Lucio.
You know, the fact that I was forgetting whenever I brought up maybe matching the Pharah is the fact that they have snipes on their team. I mean, I feel like maybe Powerhouse forgot about that too, and that's, you know, Dad and One Punch Man basically instantly getting deleted. We see Pew Pew already to the Nano, which is kind of insane considering that they lost that fight.
This is ridiculous. It's just, oh god.
So weird.
Vantage already gets the barrage. I'm pretty sure he had that by the end of last fight too. That's the crazy thing.
Vantage is, you know, you gotta say it's player of the match right now. He's really been the one that's just been applying so much pressure.
But he can't deny the pressure that the Shanghai DPS duo has been outputting in the entirety of freaking Powerhouse. Snipes has been applying so much pressure onto OO and the rest of Powerhouse consequently, but Vantage is really the one to finish off the picks, while Powerhouse is able to dive him down.
The pick on the Snipes, but he's dead as well, and so like, what much value is there? Muhammad looks to be going for the rest. He might actually get picked off because he went a little bit too far in. As I say that, he doesn't though, when he's sticking with Vantage. He proceeds to get 2 picks there onto Gavant and Aspect.
Vantage finding 4, but he dies himself.
He gets rest up though very quickly. One Punch Man manages to, you know, get a little bit of a Reddit Lucio pick onto Muhammad.
Snipes being dive bait really helped Vantage there. He just was able, with the Powerhouse entirely ignoring him, just going past him. With Shanghai building up 6 ults already, oh lord.
Yeah, this is going to be a difficult push to say the least for Powerhouse as we see the bomb from Madam. Doesn't get anybody. Aspect falls really low, recalls out. Vantage uses a barrage, but it does get cancelled. No kills come out of it, and the Nano Blade from Dad Oh, Tyler tries to solo shadow but misses, and Dad gets 2 with 1 slice, as well as another Dad on top of that. And Dad single-handedly winning this fight for Powerhouse.
Shanghai's ult economy definitely got shaken up by that, but Muhammad switching off of Mercy, you're not going to have a single ult left. It's looking like Shanghai's going to switch up their entire comp, and Snipes outduels Aspect on the Tracer, but it's not going to matter as Powerhouse caps the first point.
Aspect pushing up a little bit too far, I guess you could say. Vantage switched over to the Echo, which is very interesting to me. We're gonna have to see. I don't really know why he'd switch off the Pharah, but you know, maybe that's just me. Powerhouse is gonna be very reliant on the Nano Blades. This is gonna be like quarterfinals Vitalized type of reliant. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. Madam falling very low. She does get demech. Tyler's dead as well. So I mean, Powerhouse can sort of regroup quickly. They're gonna be able to win this next upcoming fight, as we see the stick from Aspect onto Madam. Does obviously take her out of Baby Diva. Is not gonna be able to live a pulse bomb.
It looks like Powerhouse is calling a dead fight here, as OO didn't use Primal to try to contest at all, and Gavanch just trying to get his way out to this Ana. Dad gonna be found by Snipes on the way out though.
Well, with that they did get quite a few picks, but they're all back, so that fight really got them nothing. They should have regrouped a little bit quicker in my eyes whenever they first got, I forgot who they got, but whenever they first got that pick, you know, towards like the middle of the fight, you could say. They probably should have just went for the regroup there so that they could re-engage a 6 in like a 6v5 or 4 or whatever it was. Which is the bomb from Gavant, unfortunately getting, oh, that was Madam who threw out the bomb, unfortunately getting nobody. Who was it? I don't know. It was Gavant. Okay, got the DMAC. Vantage and Snipes trying their best to equalize the fight, but it looks like Powerhouse is going to be able to take this once more. Vantage
floating into the Diva.
Oh boy. Vantage on the Diva.
The bomb's going to come out like mad.
Oh, I mean, this is
Dad dying to the bomb.
Vantage.
Double bomb.
2 Diva bombs coming out. Madam, your bomb goes a little bit too high to get much value out of it, but Vantage might have done enough to win him the fight. I was going to say that this was good enough because it drew out that blade, but it seems to be even better because it looks like the fight might be won. Both beats come out from both teams. Muhammad is incredibly low, doesn't die though. Tyler does get stuck, but he uses the Primal Rage to live and get out of it. Dad, however, gets the punch on Muhammad, so it's now an even fight. Okay, Aspect. And going down for power. Madden and Lilith as well dying. So, I mean, it's very back and forth right now, but it looks like Powerhouse is finally going to be able to get around this corner.
That fight was a heavy dedication from both teams. You saw at least one of every ult coming out. In this single mirror, you saw like all 12 ults happen in that one fight, and Powerhouse was barely able to scrape it out by OO and the Primal, and the rest of the team staying alive long enough to take care of Vantage on DPS. Vantage cloning into the monkey.
No longer on DPS, clones into that monkey, and doesn't appear to be getting any kills, but he's applying so much pressure. He uses that Primal Rage and gets Pew. Dad uses that Meteor Strike to try to equalize, but he gets stuck by Snipes with the Pulse Bomb. Snipes getting 2 in cleanup for this fight, and Shanghai's gonna be able to hold here. Only 30 seconds left. They're gonna need to back up now, but Aspect's dead. They might not be able to re-engage with their Tracer. As well as Gavant being DMAC, this looks really bad right now for Powerhouse.
You're really just seeing how much Shanghai DPS really do to enemy teams. As you saw there, Snipes and Vantage were consistently able to show up in the kill feed, like each getting 3. Like, Vantage showed that he's even good even when he switches to freaking Monkey. And Snipes is just getting 3 on the Tracer, and then 5 seconds left. Is anybody going to be able to touch on Powerhouse?
They're going to be able to touch point, but the Pulse Bomb from Aspect gets 2. That could turn things around here. They might be able to cap second point with this. But Vantage does get that beam kill on the Dad, and Tyler is still alive. He dives in on another point. He's almost to his Primal, but he gets deleted just before he could, you know, farm enough and use it. And, I mean, 1 minute still, though, is all that Powerhouse has. And they're probably going to be using it all just to get to the point. So, at the most, they're probably going to have only around 1 minute if they do cap all 3.
Powerhouse really just struggling against this Shanghai meta, which Shanghai is switching to entirely because they know third point's a lot better than first and second to hold with this meta comp.
You see the beat coming out from One Punch Man, and that does get sniped, so I mean it's looking like Powerhouse has the advantage. As I say that though, Pew is taken out by Madam. The beat as well for Muhammad you know, sort of sustaining them through this fight even longer. Gavant gets DMAX as well. While coming out from Vantage, kind of, you know, gets that stuck in a little bit of a pickle, and he gets taken out. Aspect does get Lilithy in the back just a little bit before that, but it looks like Shanghai is going to be able to take it, as Snipes gets a late pick onto Gavant as well. Only one more fight left for Powerhouse, a similar situation as to what they were just in second point. So if they can recreate this, if oh my god, if Aspect can get another pulse bomb that can really clutch it out, or Dad or Gavant can maybe the Siva bomb gets a lot. No, it doesn't, just on a little bit too high. And Tyler gets a very far pin onto Olo and he gets taken out. It's just Muhammad down for Shanghai. It's looking all too good. It looks like Shanghai has the chance right here to advance on the final. So Bomb doesn't get anybody and Dad's taken out too. He's trying his very best to keep Shanghai alive in the series, or keep Powerhouse alive in the series, but Snipes gets Dad. Gavant gets DMAC, it's just OO left. He gets the pin on the Lilithy, but it still looks so bad right now for Powerhouse. Madam gets slept, and OO is just trying his best to take this Reinhardt duel, but Pew Pew gets punched into a wall. OO gets Tyler as well in One Punch Man. It's so even right now. Muhammad does go down the shatter as well from OO, but it looks like Snipes and Vantage are going to be cleaning up the picks. Gavant is the last person left on point. He does get Vantage. He's going to be able to stall out a little bit more time, but I don't think anybody else is going to be able to touch. Okay, One Punch Man barely is able to touch, but Pew Pew goes down as well, and it looks like Shanghai is going to win and advance to the finals versus Vitalize.
Although you couldn't see it there, really Shanghai had the really big ult advantage there. Being on that meta comp might really just help Shanghai so much. Yeah, sure, Powerhouse had 3 ults and halfway to their support ults, but Shanghai with Blizz shattering coming up on the rest of their ults quickly, that's not gonna be easy to break from Powerhouse, even though they had both DPS ults and the bomb.
Oh boy, Shanghai has, well, I mean, Vitalize has their work cut out for them against the Shanghai team. Very dominant against Powerhouse overall, especially Vantage on that far. I wanted to give him an interview, but he already left.
No, Vantage is here. He's there. Oh wait.
Oh, he is?
Oh, Shanghai's leaving. Oh.
He left. Oh, they're all gone?
Wait.
All right, then.
Wait.
I guess.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
I guess we're going to be unable to do an
Everybody's
interview.
gone.
Yeah, so it appears that we're going to be unable to do an interview today, but you know, my personal MVP is Vantage.
Yeah, the DPS duo on Shanghai.
It's so dominant, and I mean, he's also on the Chimp Club, so I'm kind of biased, but it's okay.
The DPS duo on Shanghai really shone there, where Snipes and Vantage were just able to consistently get picks and show how Powerhouse's DPS duo was weak compared to the rest of Shanghai, really.
Yeah, I mean, just well played, really, from both teams. But Shanghai, you know, showing that dominance. I believe this is the first time this season that Shanghai has beat Powerhouse, and it was when it mattered the most.
The curse is broken. It's gone. The Shanghai curse is gone. They've won against every team in Div B now.
Yeah, I mean, and we're gonna see if they can win against the only team left in Division A. Vitalize versus Shanghai is gonna be a very interesting match.
Vitalize carrying the torch for Div A as the number 4 seed. It's gonna be really showing whether or not they can really hold up against all the top teams in Div B. They've carved their path through Wait What and Yoink, who've definitely shown that they've been dominant throughout the season, if not in playoffs. Really, it's gonna Vitalize is gonna have their work. He's gonna show up here or just completely fall to the Shanghai Sellouts. They want us to interview Muhammad, apparently. Okay.
Okay, they want us to interview Muhammad. Let's get him in here then. I mean, why not? I mean, he was the pocket's advantage, so I think he can give some insight.
Okay, they want Tyler.
Okay, Tyler. I mean, that too. He really did pop off as well. All right, he's in the lobby 1A.
He's in lobby 1A, and he's gonna be in here in a second.
Welcome, hey, Tyler. Congrats.
Thanks.
Congrats on
the win, and great job in getting in finals.
Thank you.
Now, was there any real idea you had of Powerhouse that came into it that might have changed throughout the game?
We did a pretty good review in their gameplay, knowing that they were gonna play the Doom Reaper, and knowing how their dive works. So we were kind of surprised when that we saw the rotations being so clean. That kind of threw us off, but we kind of regrouped and got it back together.
Okay.
So what was your thought process? I mean, you already asked this. Never mind. I'm gonna ask my next question. So what are your thought processes going into this game against Vitalize? Like who are you looking out for specifically? What kind of like things are you sort of noticing?
I feel like we're probably gonna watch out, make sure we don't get overwhelmed on the front line, so we can just keep pushing in and keep our aggression, keep the pace in our side of the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Anybody on
you
Powerhouse?
straight up you popped off on as Reinhardt, so like
Yeah, of
I
course.
can't say much. A lot of people have been really rating you poorly over the course of the season. So how does it feel to, be making it to finals along with your team and really showing up tonight?
Feels great.
Yeah.
Everyone played out of their mind tonight.
Nice. All
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
Was there anyone particularly scared you're particularly scared of on Powerhouse? And is there anyone on Vitalize that really sticks a name out to you that you have to watch out for?
For Powerhouse, Dad, of course. He's just nuts. Put the team on it back for a lot of fights.
Yeah.
For Vitalize, no, not really. Not too worried about them.
Nice.
alrighty. Any last words that you have to say for the
Uh,
people watching the stream? Any shit
GG's.
talking that you want to trash talk anybody? Stir up some drama.
You know, Vitalize, kind of a yikes dive, a megalol.
Carry the torch.
Carry the torch. Hey, I mean, you got your work cut out for you, and I feel like that matchup is going to be very close. Be sure to vote Akimbo for caster, by the way.
Oh God.
Dude, I'm gonna start a whole campaign for it, bro. Don't even worry.
Kimbo's
But,
caster campaign.
yeah, I need to get
All
some
right.
funding for it, but we'll work on it.
All right. Thanks for coming out, Tyler. Great job
Hey,
tonight.
way to go.
Thank you.
Congrats. Alrighty, and that is a weird interview to finish things off. But Shanghai taking the series, not 3-1 actually, 3-0 to 1, with one draw, 3-0. Overall, not. It was still like fairly close, but Shanghai obviously looked like the dominant team in the series. And I mean, it obviously showed, and they're going to be advancing to the finals against Vitalize, and it's going to be a fun one to see next week. So, Platt, do you have any final words to say?
Vitalize, carry the torch for Div. Do it.
Alrighty, and with that, don't get tilted. Peace, nut.
Peace out.